Feyland is a magical land just around the corner from the everyday world. You might simply step into it without knowing. Beauty is everywhere, emotions are volatile, and time doesn't seem to work in a linear fashion. In some places, twilight never seems to end, and in other areas, bright colors sparkle and the world is bursting with life. Feyland seems similar to the everyday world, but it is a much, much more intense version. That's what I'm talking about right there. Welcome to the Storycraft Society. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Garmin. This, of course, is the Storycraft Society, and this week we are coming at you with another book review. So a lot of you may know, if you've been fans of the channel for some time, that I am currently in the process of running a Feywild game for my friends. The Feywild is my favorite plane to run in other than the material plane, and one thing that I've noticed about playing in 5th edition is that the monster manual has an unfortunately low number of monsters in it that are Fey. There certainly are a few things like pixies and satyrs, but there's not a huge variety, and there's definitely not any high-level challenges that I feel like a dangerous place like the Feywild should bring. So that actually led me to finding this. Monsters of Feyland by Cawood Publishing. If they see it, they should let me know down in the comments below how to pronounce it. I'm really excited about this book, and I'm excited about it for two reasons. The first one is that it comes with such a huge variety of monsters that are perfect for running in a Feywild game. Just like the title says, these are the Monsters of Feyland. But secondly, I feel like it comes with a very unique art style, and I can say that no books that I personally have on my shelf have this art style. So it's very unique, and it feels like an original product. In a sea of similar monster manuals, this feels very unique, and it kind of catches my attention every time I pull it off of the shelf. So with that said, let's dive down to it and start diving through the Monsters of Feyland. All right, so the first thing that we're going to jump into in this book is the table of contents. I always like to start my reviews here, honestly, because it's the easiest place to just get a quick look of all the things that you're going to get in a book like this. So the first thing that you're going to get is 2 pages of lore, this introduction to Feyland, and then of course advice for game masters. On the second page, you're going to be getting something that explains the Seelie and Unseelie courts. The next thing that you're going to get is all of the monsters. Now I will say this book is very trim. It doesn't really waste any pages on unnecessary things. You're going to get a bunch of really cool and usable monsters like the Arcane Stalker, the Dream Dragon, the Mist Giant. That's a really neat one. There is the Forest Hag. The Lycanthrope Were-Rabbit is a just fantastically useful one. But not only do you get cool and usable monsters, but you also get fun and familiar monsters. One of them that's really hilarious is the Doubt Trout, which is literally kind of almost like a magic carp style fish, where it like doesn't really do anything other than just make the players kind of doubt themselves and their actions. Hilarious and really neat. I like when monster manuals do that kind of thing. Another one is the Hatter, which comes from a familiar IP. Of course, this is not the Mad Hatter, it is just the Hatter. Another one is the Headless Horseman. Again, also familiar. Same as Prince of the Pipes. That has a very Pied Piper kind of vibe to it. All of these, I just think, again, there's so many, and I'm not going to go over all of them, but I think all of them are very worthwhile to be thrown into a game. I really like the monster selection in this. Then you get a whole section of beasts, which is just going to be very similar to a beast section of a monster manual that you've seen in a lot of other places. And then last, there's going to be a challenge ratings table and an encounters table. But that's it. That's what comes in this book. It's very straightforward. You get Monsters of Feyland. That's what the book is. That's what you get. Now let's run over the sections a little bit. In here, it gives you a quick write-up on Feyland and, of course, the Seelie Court and the Unseelie Court. Now, I'm actually, in my game, using a lot of the Kobold Press lore for the Feywild and the Summerlands. So the thing is that I took some of this, but some of it I didn't use, but that's okay. That's what these sections are for. They're for cherry picking and finding the stuff that you like and the stuff that you don't like. Another really fun one is this advice for game masters. They just make it very straightforward, right? In the Feywild, you control time, you control everything. That's another neat section. And then the other page of lore opposite this absolutely gorgeous piece of art is that it breaks down the Seelie Court and the Unseelie Court. Now, a very foolish person would say that the Seelie Court is the good court and the Unseelie Court is the bad court, because both are just as tricky as the other, but one feels a little bit more dark and sinister and one feels a little bit more light. DMs can use that to their advantage for sure. But with all of that said, literally the next thing that you do is jump into the monsters. So what I would like to do is look at 3 monsters, a low level, a mid level, and high level monster, and just kind of give you a little bit more idea of what you're going to be getting when you jump into a book like this. So the low level monster that we're going to be looking at is the Hater. It says the ugliest of all humanoids is the Hater. These little Fey are jealous of creativity and happiness. Creative works make them uncomfortable. They are cowardly, deceptive creatures filled with self-loathing. It has Fey ancestry, being that it's a Fey. It does have some spell casting, which is Mage Hand and Prestidigitation at will, and then 1 a day they can cast Detect Thoughts, Dissonant Whispers, Fog Cloud, and Vicious Mockery. And then lastly, they just have a dagger to hit. So nothing that's crazy, exciting, or new, but it is an interesting monster that, depending on what your characters are doing, this could be really neat. One Fey Lord hires the party to deliver a piece of art to another Fey Lord, and then a group of haters accosts them on one of the Fey roads. Could be a really, really neat monster. Now, on this other page, we're gonna move up to a mid-level. I just couldn't not talk about the Hatter. The Hatter is a crazy, gregarious character who wanders the woods. He enjoys touring with others and revels in confusion and chaos. This unusual Fey makes odd personal remarks, recites poems, and asks complicated riddles. He is a wild madman, a happy host, and then he has a hat attack. He's got spellcasting, that's great. He's got magic resistance, whatever. Fey ancestry, who cares? He is a challenge rating 9, but then he has actions, throw hat. This is amazing. This is the stuff right here. And he has a spring hat, a summer hat, a fall hat, and a winter hat, all of which that do different things. This is the stuff that I want in my game. This is almost a kind of NPC that it's nice to have the stat block, but it more gets me excited about the potential NPC that could be in my game. And then now let's move on to one of the big guns in here. We're gonna move on to the Dream Dragon. So without warning, a rainbow-colored dragon emerges from the depths of the forest. The Dream Dragon is one of the rarest of all dragons, highly intelligent. It uses its unique breath weapon to ensnare victims. What's so neat about the Dream Dragon, a challenge rating 17, this is going to be a challenge for certainly a high-level party. They've got all of the usual things like magic resistance, and the Dream Dragon's attacks are magical, that sort of thing. A little bit of spell casting, but what's really neat is its breath weapon, which is a dream breath weapon that creates hallucinatory terrain in which those affected must fight and defeat the Dream Dragon. If anyone in the area fails a DC 19 wisdom save, all targets in the 90-foot cone, if anyone in the area fails a saving throw, all targets in the 90-foot cone enter the dream terrain. That's nuts. The only way to escape the dream terrain is to slay the Dream Dragon. So that could be so cool that now you're fighting in like a forest, but all of a sudden, poof, you're in a cloudscape fighting with this dragon. That's very, very neat. And that's another thing that this book does really, really well. It gives you from low levels to very high levels. It's got a good versatility. Now in the back, it gives you a beasts section where it just gives you a few beasts, and those of course are neat because they could give your players some new interesting mounts, like a giant fox mount or a giant swan mount. That could be really, really neat for certain types of players. Lastly, I want to talk about my favorite part of this book. That is the little tiny extras that they give you. And all scattered throughout this book are little bits of kind of fun extras like this. So the first one is the flora of Feyland. And they give you a bunch of these. I'm not going to go over all of them. But this one, for example, is Mithrin Fire, a bright red grass. And once consumed, you feel warm and energetic. For 1 day, all con saves are made with advantage and all wisdom saves are made with disadvantage. Again, What is the purpose of this in a monster manual? Not a lot, but I got more excitement out of seeing this stuff than some of the monsters. So I think that this is very, very neat. Another one is actually right over here, this golden mushroom. A small, plump golden mushroom. Once consumed, it grants the benefit of a short rest. Really neat, and your players could be scavenging in the woods for those all the time. One of my table's favorites is this slumberberry, which I threw at them in a party with a bunch of Fey nobles, and it is a spherical white berry with black spots, and once consumed, you fall asleep for 10 minutes. If you take any damage or someone uses an action to wake you, you regain consciousness immediately. And they just thought that that was hilarious when a bunch of the Fey noblery were eating these slumberberries and purposefully just, falling over at their tables asleep. But I did kind of flavor it that when you eat a slumberberry, the dreams that you have are always really positive and fun. So that's why someone would want to eat a slumberberry. Also, dumb guy, fun guy, hilarious. It actually lowers your intelligence score by 2 for a day. Really, really, really good, super funny stuff. But that's not all they give you. They also give you features of Feyland. And the first one is the winds of change. So when the winds of change come in, blustery winds suddenly blow through the area. Time is altered. Roll a d10 to determine the effect. So now you've got a random chart to see what could happen. And another one is back here, Titania's Tears. It's a refreshing purple rain with the sounds of birds all around. It heals 1d6 hit points. That kind of stuff just, again, is another way of making your game a little bit more rich, and cool monster manuals always do that stuff. But with that said, that's a quick look over the book, so let me jump back up and go face to face with you and give you my final thoughts. All right, so there you have it. Monsters of Feyland. I really, really do like this book. I'm sure I've said it enough through this review. I like the monsters. I like all of the extras that you get with it. The extras are my favorite part of any role-playing game book that I get. And again, that's a theme that I think is very consistent through the whole all of the book reviews that I've done on the channel. But if this is something that strikes your interest and you would like to have it in your collection, you can actually find it on DriveThruRPG. I believe the soft cover is $26 and then the hardcover is $36. And again, I think it's a really good value for what you're getting. If it was a $50 book, I would feel probably that it is not quite enough of a value, but I do think that $36 is a great price for this. And then actually, I think that there might be a bundle where you can get a PDF and also a soft or hard cover. I can't wait to see some more stuff from Cawood Publishing. I'm definitely going to be looking at other monster manuals that they have in the future. I'm sure that there will be reviews for those here on the channel. And of course, Cawood, if you see this, I would love to hear what you think of this review. So please feel free to reach out to me in the comments below or on any of the socials. So with that said, if you enjoyed this video, definitely leave me a like down below. Leave me a comment of what you think of this book or another book that you think that maybe I should review. I love looking at cool role-playing game books, particularly from small publishers. I like the Wizards of the Coast stuff, but I really do like smaller homebrew publishers. Share this video with a friend. That helps a small YouTube channel out a lot. Other than that, hit subscribe if you haven't, and until next week, I'll be seeing you. Very good book. I like it.